Whether you're starting or renewing your Science chapter, what are the considerations you should keep in mind in order to have a successful chapter year? We're going to go over everything you need to know in this video. Everything is timestamped, and you can follow along with the transcript if you'd like. The chapter year starts on August 1st, but chapters can register at any point during the year, so if you're just finding out about Science in February, you are welcome to register then. But broadly, the year starts in August with recruitment and welcome events kicking off in the fall, other events held periodically throughout the year, and then wrapping up in spring, before you fill out your end-of-year form and prepare for the next year. So, as a first thing, let's talk about forming your leadership team. Science chapters have to have a president and a faculty advisor, but everything else is optional, and it depends on what your chapter needs. Different organizational structures may work better for your chapter's situation, and can change or evolve as your chapter does. So there are chapters with horizontal leadership, with a more traditional e-board structure, and many that create positions as needed. So for example, if your chapter spends a lot of time organizing journal clubs, then maybe it's worth having a leadership position explicitly for organizing that. Per our guidelines, Science is focused on medical students, but we also encourage resident mentors and for others to attend and benefit from your programming. Your chapter should decide this for yourself based on your situation and your goals. Faculty advisors play a really important role in the chapter as they help you make connections with others in neurology, as well as connect you with other important contacts on campus. As student leadership cycles come and go, faculty advisors essentially serve as the institutional memory of your chapter.
When you're trying to find the right faculty advisor, it's important to have someone who's engaged, who will respond to your emails, who wants to meet with you, who wants to keep up with what the Science chapter is doing and be open to providing advice on what would be a good program to have, recommend faculty members. So really someone who's easily accessible and just very supportive.
There's no term limit for faculty advisors, but faculty aren't obligated to stay on, and you also aren't obligated to stick with the same faculty advisor.
I came on as part of the DEI group in Sign and then became the co-president. But through DEI, I realized which faculty members were really present, were really willing to help. And so when I took on the co-president role, I was able to reach out and say, hey, I thought you did a great job. Would you mind doing it again? And I think that it's always good to just see how they work throughout the year. And then it's okay to maybe reach out to someone else if it wasn't working or something, but always express your gratitude for what they did. And so far, we've had a great time. We have some great faculty members here.
A lot of schools have requirements about becoming an official student organization, so make sure that you're not missing out on deadlines or opportunities by checking what your institution offers in terms of support or funding, as well as what they require for student-run organizations. Can your institution or neurology department offer any funding? Are there student fairs or online platforms where you can get the word out about your events? Even if you're an established chapter, it's always good to check because things can change from year to year. Once you have your leadership team together, you can find everything you need to actually register or renew your chapter on aan.com/sign, link in the description. If you are registering for the first time or you have lapsed chapter status, meaning you're not sure whether your chapter was active last year or not, then you should complete our registration form, also on aan.com/sign, and submit your roster, which we have a template for as well. We should note that there is no minimum member requirement, so you can submit this roster even if you plan to hold recruitment events later. If you are renewing your chapter status, then you should additionally submit the end-of-year form, which is just a form where you can share the activities that you were up to last chapter year. Be sure to check the chapter map and database once you actually submit the forms to make sure that your information is showing up correctly and the way that you expect it to. So what is the key to holding successful activities and events? Unsurprisingly, it is planning. Have a plan to get new members engaged and aware of opportunities with the chapter, not just at your first meeting, but also throughout the year.
To reach out to members at our view, at the beginning of the year, we have our club fair and our general meeting where we will introduce our students to the chapter, its goals, and the events we have planned for the year. We have also been active on our Teams page and our class group meet to keep students informed about events and opportunities. I think it's important to recognize that many students feel intimidated by neurology, and so it's important to tailor your events to make this field more accessible and less daunting, and also organize events that give students confidence in their abilities. We have organized board game events to learn pathways, and that was really helpful in helping students learn the pathways without having to think it's a very difficult process.
Another important consideration is how you can distribute the work of organizing activities, both so that a small leadership team isn't spread too thin, but also so that you can build new leadership. This is another opportunity that your chapter can create for its members, and it's a critical one because earlier year students tend to have more time to participate in student organizations, and you want to make sure that you're setting your chapter up for a successful leadership transition.
We try to utilize the prior year's academic school calendar in order to get an approximate for the important dates, such as the holidays or the exam weeks, in order to prevent any overlaps with these dates. Also, we were in constant contact with our student dean's office, also to make sure that we didn't overlap with any other big student activities so that we could welcome more participants in our events.
How we align with existing dates in the school calendar is we're lucky enough to get it ahead of time, and specifically we're targeting the first year and second year students because we know other students are busier. So we're able to look at their calendar and see kind of when big exams are happening, and a lot of people want a break after an exam, and so we like to schedule things like the movie night after the exam where we know it can be more of a break, and other meetings during lunch or when times are a little bit easier for people.
Think about what your chapter is interested in or could really benefit from. If most of your membership is preparing for an exam, could you organize a study session or a break? If your institution doesn't have any required neurology clinical experience, would a workshop on how to apply it to or be successful at away rotations be helpful?
The most valuable events that we have organized are networking and interactive events like seizure training. For networking, we had several talks and talks with neurologists and alumni from RVU, and it was really helpful in gaining insight about neurology. And we also partnered with the Epilepsy Foundation of Colorado to enhance students' understanding of epilepsy and how to respond when someone's having a seizure. So I think the most valuable events are the ones that are engaging students and providing opportunities to network with others from the same field. Last year, we had hosted an event where RVU students connected with RVU alumni who had matched in neurology, as well as third year and fourth year students who were going through the interview process. And they really provided us with valuable insights into neurology and also the application process and how it relates to how it is relevant for a DO student.
So one of our favorite activities that we've done at the UCI School of Medicine Sign Chapter is we've been able to host movie nights at a couple of neurologists' homes where we've been able to network. They invite different neurologists and residents to the movie night, and we're able to watch movies about their colleagues and even host some of the people that were in the movies and that actually shared their stories with their patients and the families at the movie night. So that's been very fun. We also have a DEI organization as part of the chapter, and so we try to host events where maybe it's women in medicine or different subspecialties within neurology, so people can understand more of fellowships that they have as well that maybe they haven't seen before. One other thing that we did is we held a procedures workshop specifically for neurology through Sign, where we did lumbar punctures, we talked about EEGs, we did EMGs, and we had some of our neurologists at UCI come over and teach us how to do some of those things. And me personally, I had never done an EMG before, so it was cool to see that and to practice lumbar punctures and just see how neurology can be procedural as well.
For our chapter, we have had many valuable activities throughout all these years since we are founded, but I would firstly mention the Interdisciplinary Neuroscience Festival that we organized this year. It was on a national scale with the participation of around 300 students from all around Turkey, and we had many experts from different fields of neuroscience talking about their research, as well as students presenting their own research throughout this conference. So we think we made a great contribution to the propagation of interdisciplinary neuroscience in our community.
One of the key benefits of being in the Sign program is connecting with other chapters.
I think for students, connecting with other faculty and students in other institutions is really valuable for not only their Sign chapter, but for all Sign chapters. The big benefit of that is it's great for their home institution in terms of just building the profile of their own sign chapter. It's also great for them to know what other students are interested in, what they're doing for their sign chapters. It can help develop mentorships across different specialties, and also to develop relationships with other institutions as well, which is beneficial for away electives, potential research opportunities, residency applications. So in multiple ways, building these networks is really important.
Some advice that I would give as part of the UCI School of Medicine chapter is to branch out and network and collaborate with other specialty groups. There's a lot of different specialty interests that kind of coincide with neurology, like pediatric neurology, for example. And so having activities where we combine the two and help our chapter members see that, when you're in neurology, you're also collaborating with a lot of different specialties.
Connecting with other groups is great, not only for expanding your network, but also for learning from each other and collaborating.
In terms of partnering with regional or local organizations, we had a really good opportunity when one of our former sign work group members who was a student at the time and is now a resident reached out to the New York State Medical Society directly and said, listen, can we have a table or a booth at your next meeting and invite a bunch of other medical schools from across New York City to join. And I think that's just a great way of having your local and regional neurological society promote sign, and for students to be able to potentially meet other mentors as well at other hospitals, other medical schools. So that's a fairly simple way of doing it. Just reaching out to the local lead of a neurological society is a really good opportunity for medical students.
We as KU Sign, right now we are pretty much very interdisciplinary in our events. In contrast to the Sign chapters in the US, I believe. We have many members from psychology and engineering departments, as well as any other departments. We are welcoming to all of them.
For our experience with connecting other universities, we have been trying this for 4 years now. We first started with a university from Ankara, another city in Turkey, Hacettepe University. And we had online events with them, welcoming professors from neurology department to talk about different neurological disorders. And throughout these events, we got to know their research from other universities, as well as we get acquainted with their student bodies, and we shared the events that we organized so that we can welcome participants from that chapter as well. Then we just went further and started to organize events with other sign chapters from the US on an international level. We organized events with Medical College of Wisconsin, McGovern Medical School, and Johns Hopkins University. Before getting to know these sign chapters, most of our activities were online, also due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But we got to learn that they are organizing some non-neuroscience related events in order to just get to know each other in the chapter. So we started to organize some social events as well. We put more emphasis on these kind of events. And we already knew that the medical students in the US have pre-med, which we don't have, but also seeing the impact of pre-med on these medical students made us realize the differences in our backgrounds.
You can find other chapters by checking our chapter map and directory on the Sign homepage. So scroll down just a little bit to see the chapter map where you can zoom in or out. You can hover over different chapters to find their contact information, and then if you want to see it as a spreadsheet and not as a map, then you can download it here below. It's easy to overlook, but having a solid plan for leadership transition can make it so much easier to start the next year. Depending on when your student organizations hold elections, this might happen at different times of the year, but regardless, you're going to want to make sure that your chapter contact information is updated so that you don't miss out on any time-sensitive AAN emails or messages from other chapters.
I think meeting with the incoming group is really important, not only for the faculty advisor, but for the incoming students as well. And then at the closeout, when the outgoing group is leaving and another group is coming in, to have another joint meeting so that there's a smooth transition of sign leadership and everyone knows what the pitfalls are, what are fairly easy to set up, so that they also know what needs to be submitted to the AAN in terms of rosters, any reimbursements that are needed, as well as a list of events and appropriate documentation. And the other important part is to make sure that every team that's leaving knows to complete the exit survey on the AAN website so that we are able to understand what's happening in the local sign chapters and what best we can do to help them along.
We have set up documents where our chapter members can go and find if there are any faculty members looking for people to do research or any shadowing experiences, and they've been really good.
We are in constant contact with the prior presidents of this club, so at any time we are able to ask them if we have some kinds of a problem, or if we want to ask them for some suggestions, we can just write to them. And sometimes it really makes things work a lot easier. And I believe it might be beneficial for other sign clubs as well.
To set yourself up for success and not stress, keep track of the who, what, when, and how of your events so that you're not scrambling to piece together what happened, both for yourself if you're the one filling out the end-of-year form, and for the incoming leadership so that they don't have to recreate the wheel. The further ahead you plan, the less stressful it'll be, especially for larger events or if you'll need multiple faculty availability.
My first advice to any chapter is to start planning as soon as possible. The first day that you are elected as president, you should start planning the year and not wait until the middle of the fall term to decide on an event. And also, I would also advise to try to be as welcoming as possible rather than choosing the students that will be joining the club. Let all students, whether interested in neuroscience or not, join the events and see how the chapter is growing throughout the year.
You can find all of our resources for sign chapters at aan.com/sign.